What is up, guys? It's time to talk all the latest of wrestling news after this crazy weekend in pro wrestling. And of course, everything that went down on WWE Raw. So hit those notifications and let's just get right into it. One of the big questions I had coming out of this week's Monday Night Raw is whether or not WWE is done with Jeff Hardy, and it certainly feels like it. Fans are raging right now because WWE decided to put Jeff Hardy in the 24/7 championship division, which means he is running around there right now chasing that title for whatever reason. When we know what that means, it means WWE has nothing for you, and this is what you are best to be used for. It has a negative connotation to it for a reason, and that is because WWE has made it that way. This past week on Monday Night Raw, we had Reggie defending that title against Akira Tozawa, and after the match, as always, we had some shenanigans. Drake Maverick actually ended up returning. That was probably the biggest positive of that segment, whereas the negative was that we got to see Jeff Hardy as part of the wrestlers chasing Reggie around the ringside. This is obviously not good news for Jeff Hardy. Fans sent out tweets to vent their frustration on WWE. Many of them, of course, calling WWE to treat Jeff Hardy better, but others simply called for him to exit the company and go somewhere else. That somewhere else, of course, being AEW, which Matt Hardy is already there, and Matt Hardy has even teased wanting his brother there. Heading into this week's Monday Night Raw, it was reported by PW Insider that Vince McMahon was not backstage on Monday Night Raw, and that Bruce Prichard was the one running things, with Vince McMahon, of course, doing the approval via telephone, via text, and so on. Which means at the end, Vince McMahon is the one to blame for putting Jeff Hardy into this, or even allowing it to happen. Not much of this makes sense, considering that Jeff Hardy is one of the fans' favorite. He got the normal word theme song back, and every time he comes out there, he gets one of the biggest pops, even though WWE has been booking him like trash over the last year. You would think that with so much help that Monday Night Raw needs right now, that they will place him in a top permanent position, but of course not. Some of the latest backstage news regarding Adam Cole joining AEW this past weekend. Fightful Select reported that Adam Cole signing with AEW and making an appearance at All Out didn't necessarily come off as a surprise to many within WWE because they expected him to be joining the company. Those in WWE had nothing but positive things to say about him as he was on his way out, especially with the way he handled the situation, as it was a surprise to both the company and himself that his deal was up before September, when they initially thought it was going to be over. And after hearing some of the latest report, I'm not really surprised that Adam Cole left. We had ringside news indicating that Bruce Prichard's creative idea for Adam Cole was for him to come up to the main roster to SmackDown and be a heel manager. Out of everything you could have Adam Cole do, you're gonna make him a manager when his star power could have easily translate to how they're booking Finn Balor right now. Adam Cole could have become one of the top stars right away. We all know you need top stars because a lot of them are leaving, so why would you even waste it having him as a manager upon coming up to SmackDown? This guy doesn't have to prove anything. He has been proving it for 4 years on NXT already. Who knows what Bruce Prichard was thinking on this one. On to some other news, and adding Daniel Bryan to the list. Ringside News adds that they were told that no one in power at WWE views Bryan Danielson or Adam Cole as a quote-unquote big loss. And I don't know how reliable this report might be, considering that WWE tried for months to get Daniel Bryan into a brand new contract. They tried the same thing with Adam Cole, although it doesn't feel like they tried hard enough, obviously. We got a couple of reasons as to why Daniel Bryan ultimately left WWE, and this was explained by him after the AEW All Out pay-per-view, and he has some interesting things to say. Bryan Danielson said that he lost Vince McMahon and he liked working in WWE. He said that even though he knows that fans are gonna boo that, but his experience there was good and his connection with Vince McMahon is good. When he was asked when he first started thinking about AEW, he said that just like CM Punk, he saw how AEW handled Brody Lee's situation, and he loved that because Brody Lee meant so much to him. He emphasized that he loves Vince McMahon and that WWE was going to let him do things outside of WWE. But he felt that Vince McMahon sometimes is overprotective of him, doesn't let him try everything that he wants. So Bryan Danielson said that in AEW he wants to do more in the ring. He wants to test his limits. And of course he is excited to face off against all of these brand new talents that he wouldn't have been able to face if he would have stayed with WWE. For Monday Night Raw, without any argument, the biggest highlight of the night was the tag team division. Credit to WWE for actually putting the tag team division in a massive focus and making it all about the tag team on this episode of Monday Night Raw. It was the right decision. Now the question is, will they continue it on the weeks to come? Because if you make that division as important as it was this week, then you definitely got something going. Before any of the matches though, we did have Bobby Lashley and MVP interrupting RK Bro with a huge challenge. Bobby Lashley wants Randy Orton. Randy Orton says that he is down, so that's going to be going down at Extreme Rules. But before that, Bobby Lashley and MVP are entering the tag team turmoil tonight. And we start that off with the New Day. And of course, the New Day went almost all the way. And I love that they were the team showcased throughout the night, because watching them wrestle, even if it's this long, it's not long enough. They gave us a heck of a performance. Started off with them defeating the Viking Raiders, then defeating Jinder Mahal and Veer, then defeating the Lucha House Party, then Mace and T-Bar. And the turmoil match took a break at this point, as Mace and T-Bar ended up attacking the New Day and Mansoor and Mustafa Ali, so the match couldn't continue. We then got Sheamus defeating Drew McIntyre in one-on-one competition, with Damian Priest watching the matchup. Rhea Ripley and Nikki, almost a superhero, defeated the champions Natalya and Tamina. So we had once again one of these useless championship contender matchup. And I think it's clear Rhea Ripley and Nikki Cross are going to be winning those titles soon. Karen Cross defeated John Morrison after he was on the Moise TV segment. I don't know who Karen Cross is anymore, but it's definitely not the guy from NXT. I don't even remember the guy from NXT anymore, because Monday Night Raw made me forget of it. Charlotte Flair defeated Nia Jax in the Raw Women's title match, and after the match, Alexa Bliss came out. She pointed at Charlotte Flair's title, so she's getting a match just by pointing at it. Let's just forget about the fact that the New Day has been fighting for over an hour to try to get a championship opportunity. Nonetheless, Reggie defeated Akira Tozawa in a 24/7 championship match, which at the end we got to see one of those shenanigans segment with Drake Maverick returning, and also Jeff Hardy chasing the title apparently. We then get the tag team turmoil matchup, the second part of it, starting off with the New Day defeating Ali and Mansoor. We then get AJ Styles and Omos finally defeating the New Day. So in the main event is Bobby Lashley and MVP defeating AJ Styles and Omos. Bobby Lashley actually single-handedly won this match because MVP was never tagged in. There was a lot of chaos going around. In the end, Randy Orton hit an RKO on the WWE champion Bobby Lashley to continue building to a singles matchup. Now this is interesting because Bobby Lashley has a chance of being double champion next week. So that is all the latest in what went down on this week's Raw. Make sure to turn on those notifications and subscribe to, as always, be up to date on all the latest wrestling news coverage. I'll catch you on the next one, so stay savage.